team canadienne qui est en semi-finale dans le ICL ce soir.
ETB?
ETB, ouais, ETB
Je
contre
savais pas
Belen
que
Club.
Pandemonium il était canadien.
Ah, pas vrai, ouais.
Il est dans quel coin?
Surtout dans le coin de Toronto.
Ok.
Good evening, Inspilglimmers, and welcome to this very special Worlds episode. We have Drew, as always.
Hello.
And we also have, back from their little tour in Florida, Patrick DeVoTeD Cote and Pierre-Mac S4iler Duguay. Welcome, guys. By the way, Pierre-Mac, I'm genuinely sorry on behalf of the casting team for how much they butchered your name during the Worlds. It was something.
Oh, me too.
I think it's Liam that was like Pierre-Marc the Duguay. It was hard.
They see all the letters and they're just like piecing it out.
Hey, well, so very special live Q&A episodes with DeVoTeD and S4iler here tonight, talking about the Worlds. Don't hesitate to ask your questions for the guys. We're gonna ask them as well. But yeah, welcome back home. Talk to us a bit about the trip in general. We're gonna go into details at some point, but how was the experience?
Want me to go first? Well, first thing was nice is that we actually took the same flight and with the same traveling from the airport to the hotel, so that's good because we had more time to talk about the following days with the big tournament coming.
Did you get the minivans?
And yeah, it was like it's not mini, it's a very big one, not the mini branded minivan.
No, no.
Took,
Okay, because I know they have, or they used to have the mini branded ones. Oh, Pat, they're saying they don't hear you. I think you're muted. Give me a second. That's why I'm putting it so that I can see it.
this always happen live.
The beauty of a live feed.
I'm gonna open the YouTube stream on the side.
There we go.
Oh, so,
Good
Yeah.
idea.
You
Alright.
are now audible.
so you can hear me now?
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Alright,
sure
so-
they can.
Yeah, I did hear myself in the stream. All right, so starting back about the traveling was pretty nice that we actually had the same flight, which was not like organized at all. It's just that it was the best flight going there, so it happened that we did have the same flight, and then also the same like big van to go from the airport to the hotel. And to be fair, that hotel was very nice. It's one of the best premium hotel with pools that has like sands at the bottom, so it's very cool for. The rest of the +1 in my case was a +3. My family coming with me that could enjoy the pools while I'm doing my best to play some card games. So yeah, it was a very nice venue for that, and it had like more time to like talk with other players, and also we had a day in the parks after the tournament. So yeah, overall I really did enjoy this trip with the tournament and the other players.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a pleasure for us to be flying together. As Pat said, completely not organized, but we both brought our families with us, so it was nice that they could, see each other before actually spending time at the hotel together, because when we arrived at the airport in Orlando, there was already people picking us up. So our two families were together for the way to the hotel, so that was cool. And as Pat said, it was a fantastic resort that we were staying at. I was a bit concerned because they were under some construction in June,
Uh-huh.
and there was a possibility that the pools would not be open, but they were open by the time we arrived, so it was good. It was definitely a highlight of that resort was those three big pools. One of them is like a river that you can just let yourself,
A lazy
follow the
river.
current.
Drift away.
Yeah.
Were you at the
pretty
beach
fun.
club?
Yes.
Yeah, it's called the Beach and Yacht Club.
Beach and Yacht Club, yeah.
Yeah. We were supposed to be at the yacht club, but then we were moved to the beach resort, which is very similar.
same.
But this one is more geared toward families, so it worked pretty well for us.
That's nice. And then on Friday
And-
you had the media day, basically.
Yeah, so we arrived on Thursday, and
Yeah.
on Thursday, what was really nice also is that we were supposed to have our deck list submitted, our constructed deck list submitted by 6 p.m. So after 6 p.m., there was like no stress anymore. We're just like, okay, it's
done.
whatever happens, but we get to enjoy the night, and we get to enjoy Friday to do something else.
Yeah, I remember seeing a lot of posts from like DKP and the like being like, well, the lists are submitted, just lounging in the chairs.
Yeah,
waiting for
exactly.
tomorrow.
Just yeah, and I think that was a very good idea for them to do, so that it would be really bad to just arrive on Friday, stress about it, and then go immediately into the tournament on Saturday. So like arriving on Thursday, but also not having to stress about it all was very convenient.
And yeah, Friday, the media day. I assume that's where they made you like do little drawings.
Yes.
And
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Like, I don't know if you watched all of the dueling, but for me, they asked like, "Can you draw the Tekka that costs 12?" And I'm like, "There's no card that costs 12. What that?" I figured it would be the 10 cost card, but on the spot, I was like, "What is he talking about?"
I actually saw both your drawings, and I was like, I was impressed. They were actually pretty good. So
Yeah.
they were better than some of the other guys. A few of them were literal just stick figures, like there. That's it.
it's
Yeah,
a
they-
stick figure with the general position of the card, and that's about it.
Yeah, they were asking our colors combination that we prefer, so I went with red purple, but they didn't give me a meta card, so I was like, oh shit, I'm not sure exactly what card that is. It's not a playable card, so but I'm still happy with the result. So yeah, they took like all of us in one room, and then one at a time, yeah, we had to go there and record that stuff for like don't know, 10, 15 minutes with the photo. And so what I did not like that much about this is that we don't know when we're gonna pass. So it's like just a bit random and you're not sure when you're gonna pass. But what I did like about it is that I had more time to spend with the other players and talking and everything. So at least for in my experience, for some really, I guess, weird reason, the feeling, like the competitiveness in the air during the tournament, it was much more friendly than I expected. Like, even sometime in store champ, people get really angry and they start arguing about stuff, and it's not like a very fun environment to play. But then we are actually at the World Championship, and everyone was super friendly. There was no like big dispute or anything. So I think the fact that we had to talk with all the players before playing really helped that, because usually in a store champ or anything, you just go there and you start playing, you don't know anyone, and you just sit across a stranger in some way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was pretty smart to make us chat together before, so the ambience was much better while playing the game.
Yeah, well, a lot of us have been playing against one another during the season. We've been seeing each other at DLCs a lot. Obviously, we interact a lot online too. So I guess it made sense for us to be hanging out and get along pretty well. And also, I think one of the reason why I would say that the ambient was that good is that I think everybody realized that we were very spoiled and very grateful to be here already. And so obviously there was a lot on the lines in terms of like what you would like for winning and stuff. But I think whatever, we were all in the spirit of like whatever happens, we're already very like spoiled. I don't have another word for it, but like to be here, and we're just gonna be here to show some good Lorcana, right? Like we're not here to win whatever the cost, right? Like we're here to display what Lorcana can be the best, right? And so we're showcasing the game more than actually I don't know, like playing our life out, like if it makes sense.
With how the formats were made, I think it's a better way of explaining it for sure, like with the triple constructed and the super sealed. It was definitely more geared towards showcasing everything the game has to offer, as well as like the deck building and the experience and the talent of the players.
It was more like a skill showcase from what I understood. Then, like, I was looking at the games on stream, and like it was a showcase of skill and not of competitiveness, and of like, it was not like mental games and whatnot that you can see during like regular DLCs where people are like playing at a very high level. It's getting tense and everything. Everything seemed like a lot more relaxed than what I experienced and what I saw on various DLC streams, right?
Yeah, well, it was still very stressful, I have to say, though. Obviously, we were like friendly to each other. There was no major dispute like we saw in Australia or something like anything like that. Obviously, there were still judge calls, right?
Oh, yeah.
Nothing too bad happened, and I think everyone played fair, and that's a good showing for all these 28 players. But I have to say, it was still the most the most stressful tournament of my life, right? Like,
understandably so.
Higher stakes.
Yeah, there was a lot on the line still. Even with all that I just said, and if only it is for your name, right? Like, what is it that you can accomplish past those tournaments? And obviously, not everybody qualified the same way, but there's always different perceptions on those players, and you kind of want to show the best of yourself just to either contradict whatever people think of you, right? Like maybe you arrive there by luck, right? Whatever it is, or maybe you just people think that you were meant to be there, but you want to make sure to yourself, but to the community as well, prove them that you can be even more than that, right? And I think that's a lot of the pressure that we were put on, right? Like, I know for Patrick and us, it was like, okay, the two Quebecers, right? Like, okay, we don't talk about us as much as they do for the Frank Carson and the Zach Bivens and the Eds of this world and the DKP, right? Like, they don't publicize us as much because they don't know us as much. And so we kind of want to make our country proud, but also to have Quebec be on the map, right? And so there was all these really stressful thoughts that you could put in your head, but then it's one game at a time. Like you don't want to. And then both of us, Patrick, right? We're gonna get into it, but we started really bad, and that puts a lot of pressure on yourself as well, because you definitely don't want to go a full fluke, right? And go 0-7 or something like that.
Yeah, I was about to make a joke. You were saying like putting Quebec on the map after all of the jokes about Canada being banned from Lorcana in season 2 of DLCs. I had to just put it out there. We're having a lot of inside jokes with the guys from Sherbrooke, especially Nick Bellan. He was fervently commenting in the chats of the Lorecasts.
He's been a little vocal, some would say, yes.
Yeah.
Loudly vocal.
Yeah.
But
no, I can tell you that on our end, watching the streams, like we held a watch party with the Super Sealed event on Saturday. A lot of the people had their phone open, refreshing the Melee page just to see when the games were ending, and we're like, oh, they won that game or they lost that game. Like, people were super hyped to follow you, and a lot of people who, like, Lorcana brought a lot of people into the world of TCG.
Yeah.
It also brought a lot of those people then into, like, oh, I'm watching Twitch for the first time, watching the world. It was nice to see those people get into this because, well, Patrick and Pierre-Marc are there. We kind of have to watch it. We want to know what happens to them. We want to see if they're going to be on stream. I know my son was super bummed because one of the, I think round 5.
there was a vote for.
There was a vote between Pierre-Marc and Pierre-Marc game and someone else.
It was Ellie, I think.
Oh yeah, it was Ellie. And he came upstairs and he was like super pissed, like, they didn't choose Pierre-Marc.
Yeah.
People were passionate about following you guys, and it's been a blast following your journey through the year. And obviously a lot of people are expecting to see you in season 2. We're going to talk about that later.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But no, you then, like, you touched a little bit on it, Sailor, but Disney had said, oh, we're making it private so that we can really spoil the players. We can really make it like a world-class experience for them. And it feels like that's what you guys got at the end of the day. Even because we've heard from people who were like +1s and stuff like that, who were also like super well treated, got the care pack, like part of the care package, and
We've seen photos of what you guys were receiving. Like, I know Diego had the post on X showcasing like the hat, the playmat, the
water bottle,
the water bottle, like everything they gave you, right?
Yeah, you didn't even put everything, because there was a bag and a shirt as well.
Really?
That I think you didn't put, and the shirt actually look fire. It's very nice.
I mean, the shirt is the one you saw from the finalists. They were asked to
So the
wear it,
bottom-up
we
shirt,
also have it.
The pajama?
The baseball work, I don't know
yeah.
how to call it. Yeah, we also have one.
Oh, that's cool.
That's very cool. I call it the pajama because that's what people were calling it in the stream on Sunday.
Yeah, well, maybe on stream it didn't look as quality as it is, but it's really nice quality. Like
it looked like a baseball shirt, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
I think people were mostly calling it a pajama because it was like a bit loose fitting on some of the players.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, they didn't get the sizing right for everyone, and I had a chat with Frank Karsten, and he said he had the choice between medium or XXX large. So he took the XXX large, which is a bit too large for him, but it's better than being like stuck in the medium shirt when he probably
like
used large.
Like
so
a sausage.
So it was maybe floating a bit around. But at least on my side, I did get the size I wanted, so I'm quite happy with it because it was not the case for everyone. I know Ed also had to change it. I guess he did for the finals, but I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I also had to change mine, but I had Luke's size and Luke had mine, so we just switched together.
That
and it
was
worked
easy.
Fine. Yeah. So we received that on Friday night. We had a drinking night, right? Like we had like tickets to drink 2 beers and chat with the players, but also there was the 2 designers, some of the OP team, right? Stephen Cooper and other Ravensburger employees. There was Ellen Chase also, one of Ravensburger employee. And there was also, I can't remember his name, sorry, but one very important, like not the CEO, but like somebody high in, I see it in the Imagineer or Imagineer,
Oh, the Disney
which is
Imagineers?
the company that makes all the parks
Yeah.
around the world. Yeah, he came and did a really nice speech about like Lorcana, very encapsulating the spirit of Disney as another way to expand on the Disney experience and such. And he was very, he was very passionate about the game itself too. And so yeah, we had like time to chat with the casters, with the designers. I spoke to Steven a
Warner?
little bit, and the 2 designers, and I had a very good experience. Frank Karsten, as we already talked about, he came to me and he told me, "Oh, I have you as my favorite to win the tournament tomorrow."
Nice.
Wow.
And it was absolutely mind-blowing to me that he would come and say that, because I remember listening to him and reading his articles like 15, 20 years ago, right? Like he's a Hall of Fame Magic the Gathering
Yeah.
players, for people who don't know about it. And Hall of Fame means that he's invited to the Pro Tour every year just because he did so much back in the days in Magic. And he's very analytical. Like he writes mathematic about Lorcana and TCGs, and obviously Magic.
He has a
And,
degree in math, right?
He's
A PhD.
he's just an awesome guy, very, very genuinely kind and generous. And it was the biggest confident boost that I could ever have. Like I could not have picked a single person to tell me that. That would have made me feel really prepared and ready to go into that tournament.
That's super nice, to be fair. And you also got the lists on Friday, right? So you had like a little bit of time to study what your opponents were going to play, or?
Yeah, we had it at 1 p.m. I think, Pat, something like that.
Yeah, around
maybe
these things.
maybe 11 a.m. But yeah, around noon we had all the lists, and while we were waiting for our interviews, we actually we received them, and we all went on our phone. We were all sitting next to each other. And we were commenting on everyone's deck list and kind of having fun. And not everybody was there. There were just like maybe 10 of us or something like that. And I remember we were like, I don't know, Dinner Bell? Really? Zan Said is on Dinner Bell?
He cooked too hard a bit. I'm not
Did
sure
he
what
cook
happened.
too hard?
It's overcooked, like the game.
Yeah. So no, we had a good time, and yeah, we studied the list a little bit, but obviously you don't know who you're gonna face.
Yeah.
We just wanted to confirm our banning strategy for each of them, but it was pretty expected, I would say. Like when I saw all the lists, I was like, yeah, there's a little bit of that, but mostly it's this and that, and we were pretty much expecting all of that. Maybe I would have expected a little bit more red purple. But there were not that many, but Patrick brought it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and talking about confidence boost, like on my side, I didn't watch all the lists like very truly. I did watch some of the key names I wanted to because I'm just curious. I know most people will go through and like be very analytic about it, but I just went like, okay, there's 28 lists, lineups, I mean, and I'm only gonna face 4 of them, so I don't need to study all of them. I'm gonna just react like when I'm gonna play. But that said, a lot of people did analyze everything, and I had a few people coming to me saying that I think I had a very good lineup. So that was a good confidence boost because I mainly did it myself. I had some help from the SLTC folks that was very appreciated. But
Yep.
as a no team player, I just built this myself, and I had no clue if it's a good lineup or not. So having some players and teams coming to me saying I have a good lineup was very nice to start the tournament with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Myself first. Like I think Patrick was one of the opponent that I didn't want to face. Actually, all the green blue I didn't want to face. And I remember testing against that lineup in preparation for Worlds, and I was like, okay, this is kind of screws us a little bit, but like we didn't think that there would be too many people bringing it, so I didn't want to tech or choose my lineup for something that would be that would
Marginal.
not be like a good portion of the tournament. So like I think Patrick brought something like that, and Diego and Zach Bivens.
Yep.
So those were like, oh, those guys brought the lineup that I didn't want to face, right?
Yeah, I think it was not expected to have a lot of green blue. I remember I was in the vocal chat where Ed was there, and at some point he said like, "There's no one that's gonna bring blue green," and I already had my list ready. I was like, "Oh, no one was gonna do that." It was funny. But also, the first day before we had the deck list, I was sitting at the table. I think Celery were here too, and I had Kurt Spice. I think I said the name correctly to my left, and then he asked the whole table of like 10 people. So now, who bring Radigan Strap? And like, I need to keep my poker face because I did. But at some point, like, it was going to be revealed anyway. But it was funny because people were all afraid of green blue, I think. So I was quite happy about that. And it was my most fun deck to play. It did really well, actually. So yeah.
It was Kurt that was in Jack Skellington on Saturday, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
He did a very nice entrance with the pumpkin head also thing.
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
very nice guy, very very entertaining. He actually used to be wrestling. And,
Really?
Yeah.
That's-
Oh,
yeah.
so he knows about entertainment.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
How to give a show.
That explains it. Any list that you guys like saw and were like, oh,
I would have liked
that's a spicy list I didn't expect, apart from Dinner Bell from Zahn.
Who else?
Apart from the Dinner Bell, like anything that
Yeah.
you saw when looking at the
Oh.
list and that you were
Diego
like,
did bring Jafar whole new one, which did make me happy because I'm not sure if that card's gonna be reprinted, but that was probably the last time to shine, and I think it's a good spicy deck. I'm not sure if he did well with that deck in particular, but yeah. From what I heard from him, he did well with it, and what he didn't like about his lineup was the blue-green with Clarabelle. He wished he had like the blue-green like me with the Oswald and item, so I guess that means that purple still was fine for him, and it's the blue-green that he wish he had the item version. So yeah, that was a spicy one, I think, to bring Jafar wheel.
Yeah,
we saw with DKT,
I think he
uh,
went
oh,
one
go ahead.
level maybe deeper in, and that maybe was bad for him. I'm not sure what he faced. I haven't talked to him specifically on his matchups, but I remember he told me that he was hesitating between the two green blue lists, and he thought that there was going to be more green blue, and so he got the green blue list that was better against the other green blue list. Yeah.
Fair enough.
And there was a blue-yellow, right, from the French.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a bit spicy.
and
'Cause
Ellie had the blue yellow with the
Yeah.
puppy and Thunderbolt and
I did expect a lot of super aggro because you can have a deck in that you only play on the play.
Yeah, like I did.
But blue-green was not the one I expected the most, and obviously there was not
Blue-yellow.
blue
Yeah.
yellow.
the
Yeah.
blue-yellow. Yeah, it was not the most present, but it's a spicy one.
But we had figured that it was a really good one. It was not as good as the one we thought. But the problem with yellow blue was the other two decks. We didn't like the other two decks because the issue with red purple is that we could build it to beat items but not shark, or shark but not items, and but so we didn't pick that. But like that's one of the lineup that we considered at some point was like red purple burn, 2, and that's very similar to what Patrick did. And yellow green, yellow blue aggro, and green steel.
And then green steel discard.
But we thought that red blue items and was going to be a better pick than red purple to beat those two red blue decks, basically.
That's a fair read.
I'm wondering how was your read on your blue red against the blue green item deck?
I mean, I had some 4 hideaways, and there would be games where I could just hide away the workshops, and their whole deck was just air that didn't do anything.
Fair enough.
So there was game, but outside of that, it was like a tough matchup if they would go nuts with Oswald's. So it was like, I think our build would add it in mind, but it was still a bit unfavored into it.
Fair enough.
I think Patrick was feeling pretty confident.
Yeah, in my local stats data I'm tracking, I was 100% win rate against blue-red, but the fact is, when I played my first constructed game was against the Rat on blue-red, and he was playing the Oswald deck, so it was an Oswald battle, and then he had Oswald on turn 2 that put a workshop on turn 3, and I drew like 20 cards without any Oswald or workshop, so nothing more to say that I did lose. But yeah, you had the spicy version because of Oswald, but I think if both decks has Oswald, it's really about like the early game who gets the nuts or not. And then for the other, I think Sailor, you had the best version with 4 hideaways. That was scary for me, but without those 4, I think it's very easy for blue-green usually, so yeah.
And for anyone who watched those item games and are thinking like, wow, that's such a better deck than blue-red items, I think, like, I remember you telling me it was a lot more, like, it benefited a lot from the bans, right? It's a lot more vulnerable to steal, is what you were telling me?
Yeah, well, you want to go greedy on the Oswald, and Oswald is not particularly good against steal, so
yeah, it's
that
gonna
was the
die to
idea.
everything.
Yeah. So against red, even if they do brawl, like it's a 3-cost card to remove a 2-cost that sometimes already did something, and they miss like their 4-drop, that's how far I go, or Grandmatala or something like that. So I'm quite happy if they brawl it anyway. And then sometime if they don't have it, you just go double Oswald, and it's too late until they get like B-Prep and Sisu. You already have too many items on the board. Yeah. And all of the Maui Hero of All and that kind of stuff does nothing against the deck. So you make a lot of cards in red-blue just worthless. Basically ink if they can be ink, so that's why I think it's a good matchup.
Yeah,
that's valid. But then Super Sealed happened. We haven't really talked about your decks and your experience of that beforehand, but I know that's where you both struggled, like pretty much killed your tournaments right there. And I know Pat, I've heard a little bit about the pool of cards you had, so start us up on this.
Yeah. I can show you all the cards that had the word draw in my deck because they fit in my hand. It's these 3.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, and 2 Vanillopes. Wow.
Like, fun fact, I did draw once with 1 Vanillope, but yeah, that's it. So I didn't have purple in my deck, which already is a very bad sign because it's the best color in Super Seal.
Yeah.
I really feel like my 2 Super Seal practice were much better decks than one I got there. All my purple card didn't have draw or evasive. So I had 3 cards that says draws. And now if you want to see all the cards that says evasive, I had 5. So all my dual ink were green steel. So I was going green steel red because purple was not so good anyway. And then my first opponent, for example, he had 15 evasive, including Maui Shark and Rapunzel, both legendaries. And these cards are pretty damn good in Super Seal. Incredible. And also they had 2 Zazus, like the 3/5 evasive, so it's impossible to remove. And I did go the distance game 3 with like 18 lore, so it was still a close game, but like that deck was just very strong. So that started 0-1, and then against actually Wonderland from your team, Sailor, like I put the Mr. Big on the play where it's like a 1/1 that quests for 3, and you cannot attack if you don't have like one attack, because the the character with 2 attack or more cannot attack it. And then he just play Honey Lemon, that was a 1/1 that discard. And then he played the combo that I did in my practice with the Cusco whale that just bounced on the lemon, discard, and he had a 1/1 to always challenge my Mr. Big, so I was just locked out of the game. So it was kind of sad to get like destroyed by the combo I did in my first practice. But yeah, it was a tough game. And then game three was a very good one. I mean, at some point you play against other player at 0-2, so the deck are more balanced.
Yes.
So now we have an actual real game, and I did win 2-0. But yeah, it was a tough start. And another fun fact, like we have a bunch of people from Europe, and it's very nice to meet all of them. There was much more francophone than I expected. And I did 2 out of my 3 games in French, so that was quite fun.
Yeah. That was cool. Mine, I was actually a little bit more happy with. I had some good cards in Amethyst, Emerald, and Steel, and basically I built my decks very defensively because those colors can afford to do that with very few 1-drops. And two cards actually that we found out in practicing that could break a game in 2 were both restoring cards, restoring the Crown and restoring Atlantis. And so the idea was to maybe quest a little bit early if I'm on the play, or challenge if I'm on the draw, but pretty much stall the board with like efficient, highly statted characters in order to just like make them not quest. And eventually I land one of these 2 spells to just close out the games with a whiteboard, right? And you cannot do much about it. And we found in practice that was really efficient, and one of the way to build our decks when there were not any bombs, right? So it would be like uninkable, very restrictive bombs, basically, right? And that's usually what you do in Magic, right? In drafts or sealed, when you don't have that much of a great deck, you put cheese cards just to hope to steal games out of away from people that have better decks, right? So my deck was not bad. It had like a good curve. It had some really good high ends. Nothing crazy though, like nothing of the broken card. So I knew that I needed to cheese out some of those wins. But I was pretty confident because it was like average from what we had practiced, right? Like in practice, I did maybe 30 pools, like 120 games, something like that of sealed practicing. And this for me was very like average, maybe a little bit above, but definitely not too low, right? Because of those 2 restoring cards that really saved the day on like having a win condition while also having answers, right? And in playing a controlled game plan. And it happens that my first 2 opponents had the best card against that strategy. So my first opponent was Lucas, and he was on Ruby, Amethyst, and Emerald, and he had Fidget, Genie, Elsa 5, which is the card I'm going to talk about. He had Shark, 87, right? The one that I had in our practice game, right? That draw 2 cards per turn, and a ton of evasive. And basically, I won game 1 because he made a pretty big mistake, and I was actually feeling pumped, right? Because I won that game, I had no business winning. So he goes like evasive, right? Like, and I don't have my anti-evasive cards, right? Like I had the 3-cost Genie, I had the Orville with the Miss Bianca, I had like a bunch of stuff, right? Like I had the Go-Go Tamago, I had lots of stuff. And then on turn 5, he's threatening to go to 16 on the following turn. And I'm like, yeah, I'm cooked. Like I have like 3 or 4 non-evasive cards on the board, nothing to challenge them. And he played like on the last turn, he played 2 non-evasive, but he had the Fidget to give them evasive. So I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm. But I knew I had this card in my deck, the Tug of War. Deal 3 to all evasive characters, or 1 to all the non-evasive. And so on turn 5, I don't draw it, but I have my pull the lever. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to draw it so that at least I can play it next turn, and maybe I win with that. And so I quest out, right? I play pull the lever, I draw Tug of War, I quest out. I cannot play anything else because I only have 2 left, and there was not that many 2 drops in my deck. And then I pass the turn, and so he challenged with his two non-invasive characters onto one of my like high lore quester, like it was a 2 lore quester, big body. And his two characters were pretty like disposable, like 2/1s or whatever it was, and only questing for 1 non-invasive. And then he plays the 4/3 cat that quest for 2, quest out with everything, give evasive to the 4/3 cat with fidget, going to 16 instead of going to 18 if he had not challenged with those two characters, right? And so on my turn, I play Tug of War, wipe 6 of his whole board, right? 6 of his characters and quest out, and I win. And I was like, first round of my world championship, and I just got
Stole it,
given a game, right? Like there was no business me winning that game. Like if he had not given the cat evasive, I was losing. If he had not challenged, he was winning, right? And so I was like, okay, this is it, right? Like I won the die roll, and I won an impossible game. I'm here to win this tournament, right? I was feeling really confident, and then on game 2 and 3, he went Genie, Elsa, two character, 3 drops into 80s, both games.
Oops.
Yeah, and I think he's one of the very few that went 3-0 in Seal, so obviously the deck was kind of good.
Insane.
And
Like-
I mean, it was a real mistake because I don't know if everyone is aware, but even though it's Super Seal, it was like open deck list, like you had to show your list to the opponent. So
Yes.
he knew there was a Tug of War. Maybe he didn't know what it does because it's a non-meta card, but there was way for him
Yes.
to know the card exists in the deck. So
Yep.
that makes this an actual misplay and not just like a
Oh yeah,
a
he told
mistake.
me. He told me.
Yeah.
He said I made a huge blunder, and I even said, yep. And just to try to tilt him off a little bit, because I knew I was an underdog in that match, right? I was like, I'm gonna take every chance I have just to get some
Play the mind
percentages,
games.
right?
Was he the other player that also had the Maui Shark and Rapunzel legendaries? Because I know 2 players had those 2 legendaries in their pool, which is
His
very
pool
strong.
was so insane that I might have forgotten about Rapunzel, but he didn't play it against me.
Okay. Yeah.
But anyway, the problem was Elsa 5. So Elsa 5 basically meant that this plan didn't work, right? Because you would just like tap my character that was planning on and start doing a trade that would lead into another trade, into another trade, into another trade, right? So the plan of just going wide and playing one of those 2 cards didn't work every time my opponent played an Elsa 5, because it would start the trade, right?
The snowballing.
Yeah, exactly. And so on round 2, I face Zan Said, and he's on the same deck as me basically, but he has Elsa 5 and Rapunzel 5, right, the green one. And on game 1, I stole the game again. But this one was not a misplay. I just had I had Go-Go into Monstro or Monstro into Go-Go, and I decimated this board and gained 4 lore. It was like something like pretty ridiculous in 2 different turns, obviously, but yeah, so I stole that game. Game 2, we had a very close game, but he had Elsa 5, Iago, which is a 3/5 evasive, plus Rapunzel, and it came down to 1 like turn. I was winning on my turn, but he won on his turn. And in game 3, my hand was very like aggressive with library, so I went with an aggressive route. And on turn 5, he went Rapunzel, and so I couldn't quest anymore, and it basically shut my whole game plan. And I drew into my restoring, but I didn't have any characters to actually do anything, and so it didn't work. But it still came down pretty close because I had to go for 3 or 4. But so that was my first 2 rounds, and I told myself like, how did this happen? Like I had a very good pool, I had opponent make some mistakes, and still I didn't get there because the pool quality was just so high. It was like everybody was talking about it. Of like we tested so many times and never we've seen anything like this, right? And so even the team afterwards, they were like, was those pool like rigged or something? I'm like, there's no way they would do that, right? There were a lot of people in there building the pools, all different judges. We would pick a box that they put on the table, right? So there was no way for it to be rigged or anything. It was just statistically so improbable to have that many good sealed pools. It was insane. And so it really put Patrick and us in a very bad spot because our pool was just like, well, Patrick pool was actually bad. Mine was just average.
Just average in a world of amazing pools, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe
right?
I should share my pool and see if people can make a better list and if they would play purple. But yeah, it's
yeah, maybe.
not great.
I do the exercise.
Yeah, okay. I have it somewhere because I know some people did just putting this in Dreamborn and figure out a pool with it. So yeah, on my side, I can share my MVP real quick because there's not a lot of them. The first one was the Genie on 3 and the Mausa Mord 4 that saved me in some games. But the problem is in this format, you actually had sideboards and everyone was playing green that has a lot of anti-item. So as soon as I did this one game, the anti-item just went into the deck and now that couldn't work as expected. And it's a 4-cost item, so when it's getting banished, it's quite hurtful. And then the other MVP, it's a very good card in Seal, but I only saw it once in my final game of Final Match, and it's the Longbow. Because you always float. I like to say float. Like there's always ink you don't use in Seal because of bad top deck and stuff. So at some point I had like 4 characters, and as I said, I don't have a lot of evasive, but I had 6 inks. So I did put 3 of them evasive every single turn. So now it was fair. Now I had evasive too. So that card really went the MVP, but I only saw it once. So that's another part of the Seal. Like since every card is like a singleton in the deck, or mostly, all games feels different, right? Even with Mulligan, evilly, sometimes you don't see the best card in the deck. So
for sure. And
my highlight was round 3.
We get you. We hear you.
My highlight round 3 was pull the lever. First game, my opponent played a desperate plan. And I still won the game, but it was pretty close, round 3. And in game 2, he curved out 1, 2, 3, blah, 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 and he thought about inking something, and then he inked a 2-drop and left him with only 1 card. And I look at my hand. I was about to probably pull the lever on draw cards. I was like, let's make you discard that last card. And obviously, it was the desperate plan, and I won on the spot because he was like, his characters on the board were clearly not strong enough to
carry him.
Not sustain a draw 3, right? And so that's how I won my last game of Sealed. So it went 1-2 as Patrick did also.
We have a question, Pat. What would you have better, your pool or 12-pack with no Chapter 8 packs?
Yeah, that story was pretty sad, and I'm sad I also didn't saw it. I don't know if everyone's aware, but when we were building our pools, there was 2 players by table, and I was so focused on making my pool, and I have a card everywhere that obviously I don't take time to look at the opponent's pool and cards and stuff. But the player in front of me, which I need to remember names, it's the one that plays like 70 cards in the deck.
Hamza.
Yeah, Hamza. Yeah, so Hamza was in front of me, and he made his deck. I was making a deck. We're not really chatting a lot, just saying, oh, I get bad card, good card, blah, blah, blah. But then at the end, when he submitted his list, he looked at this, like, there was a Ziploc bag in our box, and there was an entire pack of cards in the bag when he already submitted the pool, and it was the entire Chapter 8 card. So he basically did a Super Seal with only 3 chapters, and I think the last one is the best. So that was feeling really bad, and he was talking with the judge when I was still at the table, and I kind of felt really bad for him. And then at some point he asked me a question that I didn't want it to have asked. He asked, "Did you see the cards?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't." And now I was just scared he wouldn't believe me, and I like saw the cards and don't say anything, and he's like going out with a strike. So yeah, that was a very sad story. And the judge didn't let him continue because time was over, and he submitted the list. So yeah.
So
and he started looking at this card from set 8, and he had the red purple 80s that draws 2. So I'm like, okay, well, at least you can sideboard and put it in, but he didn't put red purple, so he couldn't put it in. So, yeah, that was a very sad story.
Feels so bad.
It really starts the tournament in a bad way, so it probably impacted even his constructed part.
Yeah. You start with like some, I want to say, emotional and mental struggle, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and you guys know what happened at the Continentals. You remember with the disqualifying in round 2,
Yep.
like must feel awful just to have like not must feel awful. I what I mean to say is it is awful because I remember feeling awful for my teammate when she was disqualified, and then it impacted the rest of my tournament. So I cannot imagine what it was for him at Worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how his seal went, if he went 0-3 or something, but surely he was missing a lot of good cards, so his deck was
He didn't do
pretty
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, missing a fourth of your lot pile, it's pretty bad.
Yeah. That's kind of bad.
And I guess talking about missing card, I have another fun story from myself. So we submitted deck list on Friday, and then I think Thursday, yeah. So like Friday morning, or Saturday morning, I start to look at my deck, count the cards, and make sure everything is there, and then shuffle some. And I figured that I was missing one piglet in my Ember Steel. The reality is that I didn't practice this deck a lot because I expected it to be banned anyway. So I guess that maybe not help. But yeah, it was just bad for me to not count the cards before, like multiple times before taking the plane and doing
Were
it
you able
after.
Were you able to find one?
Yeah, so I reached out to a bunch of people, and for a chance, we had like WCC Robert there that had.
Okay.
I always have a lot of cards with him, so I just messaged him personally. I do you have a piglet, so he just arrived very like not late, but because he's not one of the players, so he arrived later than the players. I was a bit stressed that he would not show up because I have some piglets. I'm coming tomorrow morning. And then when he arrived, he was like, "Okay, which one do you want?" There was like a foil, non-foil, and
I just want I just want one.
Just take me the non-foil, and how much you want? I am just giving it to you. So
I'll
he
pay
gave me
$5,
the
$10 for it just to have my list legal.
I had $10 in my pocket ready, even though I don't think it's worth that much. For me, it was worth that much. So like,
Yeah.
how much do you want? And he just gave it to me, so I just put it in the deck, and I almost never played Ember Steel, so it was just not be disqualified. But
Yeah,
it was a bit stressful.
You just don't want to have like run-ins with the
A deck
judges.
check. Yeah,
Yep.
and you're missing one card, and even though it was banned all day, it's still disqualified. That would be bad.
Yeah, that kind of leads me to my next question because, like, I know over there it wasn't like it's no secret that PPG is not affiliated with Lorcana anymore for tournament organization, and they flew in Fanfinity from Europe, right, for your tournament.
Yes. Fanfinity.
How did it compare to, like, because you guys did a bunch of, like, Pat did one DLC. I know S4iler did, like, you played more than, like, you did 3 of them. How did Fanfinity compare organization wise to PPG? Was it noticeable?
I mean, it's hard to compare because like it's 2,000 people versus 28, right?
Sure enough.
But I would say Fanfinity was insane. Like we arrived at the airport, they were there to pick us up. We arrived at the hotel, they were there to tell us everything we needed to know. Any question we had, they were always in the lobby, and we could go there and ask questions, or go on Discord and ask questions. They were very good at dealing with anything happening, right? And so we had like events on the next Monday. There was some disappointment for myself from like one of the events that I paid extra to my family to go to. I was like, this is it? Like I paid like that many, and they just refounded me. Like they did everything they could to make the experience as good as it could be, and I'm very appreciative of it. And then they also brought their production team, which is, I guess, like not them exactly, like they're being partner with the production team in Europe, and that's also who made the production on the casting and the stream itself. And I think, well, it was looking really professional, but obviously I didn't watch it live.
It looked much better than the American ones, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, the casters were really good. The production level was really, really good. I'm
The
curious,
drawings were
did
really
you
good.
guys hear Baker every time he would sing "Be Prepared"? Or
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. It was a small room, right? Like we just had like I don't know, like 15 tables or something like that, right?
Makes sense.
so then you'd be playing your games, and then randomly you'd hear Baker just like yell out in the middle of the room.
I remember when they did the intro, I was like, wow, that was professional. That was really good. Yeah.
No, it was a great stream. Like I was in there like all day. On Saturday I was working, but I had my phone like against the register, and like I was just peeking every time. Also, I was like looking at the results once in a while when we had like a bit of dead time, and I was just like working week by list and whatnot, and I was seeing you guys following each other on scores, and I was like, just like, please don't make them play against one another. Please don't make them play against
Yeah, at
one
0-2
another.
there was some high chances, right? So
Yeah.
Yes.
good we
Yeah,
avoid, and we both
1-2
won.
as well.
Yeah.
We could have played in round 3, first round constructed, and
Round 4.
I was actually like, oh no, I hope it's not Patrick on round 3.
Yeah.
So Nick
That
Bena
is
is
a
asking
question,
if you
yeah.
guys had side events or anything ready to do during day 2.
Yeah, my side event was going to Epcot with the family, and you could walk to Epcot from this venue, so that was pretty neat. So that was the, I guess, good part of not making day 2 is you get one more day with the family. So my family was happy that I was not doing day 2, but they would be even happier if I did.
Yeah.
But it was a good like consolation prize. I don't know.
Yeah.
what to say,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Same. I was gonna answer actually the same thing. I'm like, we went to the pool, which was pretty good side event.
yeah.
Well, I know Sailor, you were back on the show floor for the finale.
Right. Yeah. We all were.
Everyone was.
We all were. We were
Okay.
sitting next to each other, Pat, myself, and Luke, and yeah, we watched the final. It was pretty cool to be at the front row watching that.
We're gonna get into your like tree deck constructed in a second,
Yeah.
but I just want to know, did any of you guys had a chance to chat with DKP about his like fire cannon mistake during the finale? Like, have
No,
you
I
heard
think that would
stories
have
about that?
been- That would have been a bit inappropriate after you won, right?
Yeah.
To just like, oh, how dare you?
No,
make
not
a
how dare
misfire."
you, but like you had the day afterwards, you had the fireworks. Like, was
know.
it discussed a bit? No.
For me, when we were going to the ride Guardian of the Galaxy after the tournament, so the subject was already there, so I'm not like pushing it, but they were talking about the games and the fire cannon. So all I said was like, it's possible you might need to sign some fire cannons in the future. And he found it pretty funny. So yeah, he's ready to sign some fire cannons. So yeah, that's all I said about
Oh,
it.
my
It
mic's
was
suddenly
quite fun.
crashing. Let me check.
Don't crash your mic.
No.
But yeah, I think that was
It's probably
a
cooking,
very
actually.
bad mistake, especially to do in the World's Final, but didn't impact the outcome of the game. So
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
it's
was
just gonna be
for it.
remembered forever, though.
Yeah, he just got how can you say, right? Like his 3 goats really diminished his mistake because like on that final game was
Yeah.
it the final or next to it, like
It was the
or was
last
that the 4th?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
second to last game. Anyway, when he drew all his goats, it was like, okay,
I mean,
well,
what made this even more funnier is the fact that he did read the card just before.
Yeah, I know. He
Yes.
picks up the card, reads it, puts it back
Yeah.
down.
yeah,
Fire the
still make
cannon.
the display.
Yeah, that was insane to see live. Like there was.
We were like, what? No!
Oh, and also there was one turn where Ed quested with a genie that was just happened to be played that same turn.
Yeah.
And then everyone in the crowd was like, "Hey, what's going on? Judge, judge, judge!" And
Yeah.
after that,
we called judge on him.
yeah, the spectators were calling the judge. But the fun fact is that I was not like used to that, but they don't have a table judge. They only had like a headset judge. So when no judge were coming table, like, what are they gonna let it slip? Like requested with the genie that's not ready. But then I figured that they had the judge in the headset and they just
Yes.
reverted the action. But when seeing that live, I was quite shocked about it.
I'm surprised that they didn't have like a table judge because at the DLCs they did.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I guess
think it's from
the
camera
judge looks
angle
at the camera
perspective.
and
It
can
looked
talk to
better
both
not to have
players.
the judge on camera.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
You don't want to hide that beautiful trophy and card. So yeah, they had the judge and in the end set only. So for the spectator, it looked like the judge didn't care and didn't show up, but it was actually being in also. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the only real, like, we saw 2 judge calls during the streams. We saw that one, and we saw, don't remember who it was, but I think they did like an aerial and picked 5 instead of 4 or something similar to that. and then
Yep.
like they had it they just called judge, they had it resolved right away. Seemed very very efficient, and you can tell you could tell it wasn't
Yeah.
like
I didn't watch
Malintentional.
the chat live because I was just watching actually live instead. And I really hope that nobody said that he was cheating. Like there was
Nah.
obviously an NS mistake from Ed to quest
No,
with
you,
the
you
genie.
can see the chat being like, oh my god, the genie, judge.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
no
because
one was
we
like,
have
he's
some
cheating.
stories from the past where players
Yeah.
get called cheaters when it was honest mistake, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
No,
yeah, I'm just hoping he didn't get that kind of situation.
No.
That's one of the things with the atmosphere. Like we could feel from home how friendly the atmosphere was, how like confident everyone was to be there, and in the good running of the tournament. So I don't think at any point like anyone. I don't think I ever saw one like, oh, like I think I saw a cheat or something. There were some like, oh, this was a misplay. Oh, they missed that or something. But
Chet was really colloquial.
yeah,
Nice. Yeah. So for the constructed part, so everybody who doesn't know, I brought red, blue, green, steel, and yellow, purple Iber aggro. The idea was to bully the red, blue lineups by bringing the best red, blue deck and the best on the play deck with yellow, purple aggro. And then if they ban any of these two, then you get to have green steel. And my green steel I built to beat red blue as well. With I find them, I flat them, a bunch of discard beyond the horizon. It was absolutely a totally gross deck because I didn't have to care about Ember Steel or the mirror. So the list was an absolute monster against the blue decks. And so round 3, right, the first one of the constructed, I faced the European champion, Domingo. He was on the most expected lineup, which was green, purple, red, blue, and Ember Steel. And he banned my red, blue. And I remember, that was also one of the plan with that lineup, is that for me, there would be people over-respecting my red, blue, and then they would face the wrath of that green steel list, right? And that's basically what happened. Game 1, I won the die roll. I didn't want all my die roll, but I won the first 2 and the 4th, and then I didn't want the other 2. So I was like 4 and 3 in my die roll. So I won that one and played my yellow purple, right? My yellow purple basically was not meant to play on the draw ever. Right, it was just on the play deck. Make sure I get that game off, and then have the best 2 on the draw decks in the game, in my mind. And he played his green purple, and he had the best opening possible, and I still beat him. That deck was absolutely insane on the play. It was just so gross because I had like Lilo piglets, Lady piglets. This one I even had the Daisyon one, which is even more gross. And if they have any sorts of counter attack, right, I can just not quest for a turn and then play bodyguards and then quest out, right? And so I would usually win on turn 4 or 5, depending if they put any resistance. And so that went pretty well. And then on game 2, he switched to red, blue. Because obviously he wanted to have that deck on the play, and I had green steel, and I had I didn't have the Diablo start, but I had a pretty heavy discard start. He was able to play some workshops and items, but I played Beast, and on the following turn I drew 2. I already had the high flat him, I flat him, and so I flat him all his items, and Bruno'd his character, and he had no hands, no board, no items, nothing. And it was over. And so I was like, well, round 1 of constructed went exactly according to the plan. Yeah, it was pretty clutch. And after that, I was 2-2, and I was like, okay, I started really badly, but now that I'm in constructed, right, I have these decks that I practice so much with, and I just won very convincingly the 2-0 against the European champion. I was like, that's it. I'm going back, right? Like I'm good. And then round 4, I'm playing against was it round 4? No, round 5. I'm playing against Frank Karsten, the guy who told me that I was favorite to win, right? And tremendous opponent. And this one I won the die roll, so that was my last die roll win of the day. And he thinks a little bit about my banning, and he bans my yellow purple. So I'm like, wow, 2 games in a row I get to play green steel. So the idea behind that was that obviously I would go on the play, and that would get me a free win, right? So he didn't want me to have a free win. And so he took green purple. He was also on the green purple red blue Ember Steel lineup, but he was on shark instead of items, whereas Domingo was on items. And he brought green purple, and I took red blue, and it was the craziest game of Lorcana that I played like in a while. It was absolutely insane. He had like a lot of early characters, but he didn't have Shift Diablo because I had Sisu and Brawl, so he didn't want to just like commit to it because I also had Coil. And I delayed my Sisu for as long as possible so that he would not play it. And I played other things in the meantime. And I played it on 5, right, to take out some Ish Genie that he played on 4. So I guess I played it on 4, but on 5 ink.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, okay, if he doesn't have Elsa, I win, right? Because I shift my Sisu on 6 and wipe his board, right? And he went an aggro route, so like big Sisu is gonna be really good. And he ponders for like almost a minute, and I'm like, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. I'm gonna cook him. And then he goes shift Diablo, discarding Bruno, sing France. And I'm like, oh my God, he's Hail Marying it, right? Like he doesn't have it, but he doesn't want to hardcast the France so that he can have the ink to play the Elsa. And I'm like, wow, Frank Karsten, are you really doing that? I'm like, that was such a crazy play, right? And then he ink and play Elsa, and I'm like, no way. And somehow I won that game. Somehow I won that game because I went ink after this in order to represent Big Sisu on the following turn. And he played a bunch of like Yagos and Fox to retrieve something, right? Just to make so that I cannot take out everything with Big Sisu. And I played B prep that I had drawn, right? And I was just baiting him into trying to play around Sisu when I already had
the B prep in hand. The
B prep in hand, and it completely wiped his board, obviously. And then he had very few left, and he even played like a Yago and a Gogo eventually, and he was going to 19 with that, but he didn't have Goat, and he only had 1 Gogo and only 1 Fox. So one of the Fox was already in the discard, and the Gogo was in play. So I knew there was absolutely no way for him to end that game. So I made him keep those 2 characters in order to build my hand, in order to, on the few next turn, be able to answer everything he plays, right? So yeah. I went, like, he went that, representing 19, and I went on, like, workshop items, like, draw my whole deck, right? And my whole deck, obviously not my whole deck, but... and then he was like, well, I don't want to commit more to this, so he just quest and pass. And I played Big Sisu, wipe his 2 characters, and I had answers for everything he had for the rest of the game, and just won with him at 19. And it was like, wow. And that game lasted, I think, for 30 to 35 minutes. And then we went for the green steel versus red blue. And I had Ursula sing double sudden chill. I had Diablo on 2, even though I didn't have it in my mulligan. I kept Diablo 1 and Cove and ship 5. Didn't find it. On my turn 1, I play it. On my turn 2, I find the 3-drop Diablo, shift it, put it in the Cove. Obviously, I saw the Brawl, so I knew I had the Coer was good. And then I had a bunch of song, but nothing else, and I drew into Ursula, drew into Prince John, and just like went full on discard, add the Bruno to take out the shark. And the biggest point in the game was on 5 ink, I had Lucifer, and I knew one of the cards that he had left, he had 2 cards left, was a shark. So I'm like, all right, if you have an actions, you're still in it. If it's a character, I win on the spot. And it was 2 sharks with my Lucifer, and basically won off of that. And like the time was running really low, so it was. If we had come to game 3, we'd probably not have had time to finish the game.
Did anyone like go 1-1 during? I don't think I've seen anyone like
I don't think so.
go to time.
You couldn't go 1-1.
Yeah, it was first one to whoever has the most lore after 5 turns, and if it's the same, then it's the next one who makes 1 lore. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you couldn't draw at all during.
No.
Yeah, there was no way to draw. And I don't know for you, but for me, the only time I feel like the timer could be an issue was in Seal, because the board state goes stale very fast, and becomes to be a puzzle. So in my constructed game, I was never scared. Even though I play blue-green item, I was not really scared of going to time, because usually I only play it once if it wins, and if it doesn't, maybe I play it twice, but never 3 times. So yeah.
That was against Frank. The concerning part was that I didn't get to play the hyper aggro deck, so it was 2 control decks, right? Versus 2 control decks, so it was a bit longer. Yeah.
And if I can go my side,
Yes.
the whole plan was to also beat the blue deck, especially red blue. I did all my practice tracking every stat against every deck, and then I had like a sheet that gets all the win rates against all the matchup, and then give me a global win rate if I remove 1 color. So basically, if I ban a color, and my stats told me that I was supposed to ban steel, which was not surprised. And then the second ban was green because of discard, I guess. So my plan was to ban steel, especially Ember steel and green steel, because I think they are the strongest. And because of that plan, I didn't play any brawl in red purple. So brawl is usually good against Ariel and 3-drop Ursula. So now I'm not scared of them, so I can remove the brawl, which is not a good card to raise the game. So yeah, that was the plan. But then for some reason, I played 2 players that didn't play either Ember Steel or Emerald Steel. So I played against the only blue steel, which was surprising. So in that case, I didn't ban steel because my plan was to beat blue anyway. So I banned like the discard, which was my second ban. And then someone else, my first opponent, the Rat Brand Cortade, brings purple steel, which is not as terrifying as the other 2. So I did ban discard in that case also. But yeah, banning steel was very key for making those 3 decks. So I wouldn't recommend pick these decks as is for set champ if someone was looking for it, because I think most deck in the
There might be a
doesn't work.
tiny bit of steel right now in the set championships.
Tiny bit.
Just a tiny bit. So yeah, I already talked about my first game ever, which was against Brian with the Oswald working on his side and not mine. So that was not very nice. But then we went on game 3, and my blue-green was very close to bringing the game back. I had like 3 right against trap in hand, and like some Tamato was on the play, but it updecked Cobra and did 2 lore. So yeah, it was on game 3. But yeah, so that was one of the game with blue-green. And also I played against Frank Carson's too, and for some reason he is also the only one that banned my blue-green instead of Ember Steel. So he had some very spicy banning strategy, which was shocking. I was excited to play blue-green against him, but I guess it was a good choice because I was stuck with like more aggressive deck, and he had ways to counter it. And with Ember Steel, I didn't find any duck or the Vini at the right time, so couldn't end the game. I was like at 18 and just stuck there. But my most crazy deck, if we want to develop on one, was the very last one of the day against an Italian that's actually part of one of our Discord chatting groups. So it's not a friend of mine, but at least someone I know and talk with. And he was on green-purple discard Diablo, and I was on blue-green for the game 2. I won game 1 already, so I'm on the draw and playing against discard. And he had like Diablo Shift turn 2, and he played the Diablo, I think, on turn 3 and 4. And I just went Maurice Workshop and keep drawing like crazy. And he had like Diablo's questing for 1, but I didn't care about his end size that much. I just wanted to make mine bigger. So at some point he had like 28 cards in his hand. And it was open deck this, right? And I had the Prince John Mirror in my hand. I was just waiting for the good time to play it. And then I just make him draw, finish the turn by playing Prince John Mirror. And since he's Italian, and I think he plays with Italian card by default, and I know him, I'm like, do you know the card? Like, do you want to read it? And I just put it in front of him because I didn't want him to like go the next turn and play like friends, and say, oh, you need to reduce your end size to 3. That would have been very bad play. So when I played Prince John, I asked him to read the card and make sure he know what's written there. And then the next turn he goes from like 28 card to 3. And then I just sing Under the Sea. So he went from like 28 cards and 8 card in characters, like 3 Diablos, 1 Prince John, and a bunch of stuff, to 3 cards and no board.
Wow.
So, and then he started to try to build up from there, but I keep drawing. And at the end of the game, I had 4 cards left in my deck, and I played the Scrooge, and I just placed my deck exactly how I want because I had 4 cards. I just put my stack as I want. There was an item in there, but I didn't draw it because I don't want to mill myself.
Yeah.
It was just funny to place my entire deck as I wish, and I just did like 30 lore in Tamatowal dime turn. But yeah, having him like 30 cards to 3 was a key. And I think I did put the Prince John Mirror especially for the discard matchup because that's the only way to really punish Diablo and keep drawing. Keep your strategy as is. Just draw as many cards. So even if he puts like a sudden shield or something, I don't really care. I have so many cards that it's just gonna get wreck of 1. And the Tamatoas for 6 and 8 brings back item anyway, so I can just draw forever and then punish them with the Prince John Mirror. So that was a very crazy game. And at the end of the day, my wins were all 2-0, so I think that was very cool. And the lose were 2-1s with very close game for the third game. So I'm pretty happy with the constructed result, actually.
If you're going to Worlds next year, would you like the format to be similar, or is there things that after playing it you would like? Obviously, you guys didn't do the best with Super Seal, so I'm expecting you to have comments on that.
Yeah.
But how did you like the formats overall?
I have a lot of comments on that, especially the Super Seal part, and also the constructed. So let's start with constructed because it's not too far to being good. In my opinion, the thing they need to change is that instead of you banning another player deck, you should ban one of yours, so it's still a best of 3 with 3 decks. But at least you cannot just make an entire strategy that revolves around not playing against Steel ever. Instead, you need to have decks that can win against almost everything and ban your weakest decks against the lineup. So there's still strategy of ban, but banning your own makes you play some more normal deck instead of playing like deck that doesn't work anywhere else. I think that would be my change for constructed. I don't know if Sari want to talk about constructed first, and then we can go on.
Yeah. I think the constructed triple deck was very fun and very deep in terms of like bringing the most out of the deck builders that we are, and that's one of my strengths, obviously. So I feel like it played towards my strength. I think to the detriment of the viewer experience. I think that we built decks that were so polarizing that it made up for pretty miserable viewing experience and games in general, where it was all blowouts here, like from like blowouts, right? It was never fair games, where at least mine were not. I don't know on stream if it was a little bit more nuanced, but
a bit more.
Yeah, we had a few really good matches on stream.
Okay, well, the final was not, right? Like it was pretty much blowouts one way or the other. And
I think
that's
like
the way
I'm
built.
gonna interrupt you there just for a second. The finals were blowouts, but they were nothing compared to Ed's semifinals.
The semi was just like
I think in 10 minutes he was over.
Yeah.
Like
When
it
Zach
was.
on
there were
blue
memes.
green,
There were memes all over Facebook with Ed's face and like, I'm not paid by the minute here.
Wait, yeah. The Ed's there. So I think it was really good for showcasing nice deck building, but actual gameplay was pretty lackluster, in my opinion. Because we were all bringing really good decks on the play that couldn't really lose on the right when we were able to do the thing. Maybe like not everybody did that, but like, at least my lineup was very polarizing, and I think my record shows for it. Like I went 3-1 in constructed, and it was working as intended. And it worked really great. But I don't feel like that's really what they would want us to be, right? Like I feel like they should make a format so that the games are more interesting, is basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
I
I
have
did
to
like the
say.
six
Oh,
colors.
go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I did like the fact that we need to play the six color. Like it
Yeah.
was quite demanding on preparation to build
Yes.
3 decks, and as soon as you change one, you need to change the 2 others because you cannot have overlapping colors. So practicing like 7 lineups means a lot of different decks. So
Yep.
it was more demanding, but I think for Worlds it's fine. I wouldn't do that for a DLC, for
Oh
example.
no, absolutely not. It
It's too
was
much.
way too deep for regular grinders, right?
I'm gonna have to give a point to Pat on this one because he's been heralding online client. With an online client, this preparation would have been much easier.
Yeah, probably. But even then, like, does the online clients supports that format,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Even if you play like Pixelborn Connect and you queue, the thing is the system doesn't support bans. So I was
Yeah.
actually practicing online a deck, but I wanted to build a lineup that always bans steel, and I always queued against steel. Like at some point,
Yeah.
I built a deck and I played against Ember Steel 5 games in a row, which just wrecks my stat. But it was expected to lose against that deck because I'm
Yeah.
gonna ban it anyway. So it was just wasting time. With like coming back thinking about it, I think I should have just conceded all the steel game and instead of playing them, but I did enjoy the game, so I played the game, and sometime I did win, so that was cool, but yeah, it was not a good matchup, so always queuing against steel when you know you're not gonna queue against it in Worlds was a bit
Yeah.
annoying.
And Greg Tito did mention that he would really like to have an online client as well, emphasizing. So
A
maybe
lot of people
maybe it's coming down the road. They're definitely aware
Oh.
of.
Maybe I can say that actually, because I said it in my podcast in French. I'm just gonna say it again in English. Like we were talking on the Friday with like the media stuff, and Steve Warner was actually sitting right next to me. So I did also ask him to sign my Mickey Mouse. But later on, not the golden one, the signing one. Later on, I did ask him, "Can I ask you a question that you might not be able to answer, like a tough one?" He said, "Yeah, sure, we'll see." And I said, "Is there an online client in development?" And he didn't say no, he just said it's a possibility. But after that, he also said it's possible that I become CEO of Disney, so it's just a possibility. Like at that point, everything is a possibility. So I think it's better than a no, but it still seems far from being there.
I think that it's too early for them to be able to say anything about
Yeah.
it, and they don't want to like get hopes up and whatnot.
Yep.
So yeah, that was the funny question.
And obviously for the sealed part, my biggest issue with it is actually that it was starting the tournament, because if it had been in between the two, right, like 2 rounds of constructed, 3 rounds of sealed, 2 rounds of constructed, at least it would not be as bad in our tiebreakers, because the issue I had with it is like the most important games in your tournament were the one that you had the less control over.
Over, yeah.
Yeah. So both of us started a 1-2, right? 0-2. And those 2 games made it so that our tiebreakers for the rest of the tournament were really bad. And at the end, I finished 4-3, right? And Patrick was really close to also finishing 4-3, right? And people were like, "You can still make it. There's going to be 1 or 2 4-3." I'm like, "I'm not going to be the one."
No.
Like, don't forget about it, right? Like, people were obviously just being nice, but I knew that I had no shot at making it. And,
Yeah, compared
in
to
the end-
Ellie went
Yeah,
3-0,
in the end,
and then
Ellie-
4-0, and then 4-3.
So Ellie went 3-0 in sealed and 1-3 in constructed, and made top 8.
Yeah.
Which and so he was one of the 7 players that made 4-3, right? And if Mo or I can't remember who on round 7, but it could have made it so that one would have been paired down. It could have been actually 2-4-3 if like something else happened in round 7, but so it could have been 2. And I think if let's say I would have started 2-0 instead of 0-2, right?
Yeah.
I could have been exactly in this spot instead of right, and basically were tiebreakers separating me from finishing top 8, right, and potentially even going further into the tournament, obviously, once I'm there. So so my biggest issue was that. And then there were people, we had dinner on Saturday night, and I had like geeks trying to analyze that format, and they were like, what if we actually bring a super sealed pool, but we bring the same sealed pool to all the players, right? And we build that pool, we curate that pool so that there's many possibilities in how to build it, right? We build the pool in a very specific way. And I was like, maybe that's interesting, or maybe we do a draft and they're all the same packs, right? And so we can memorize what is going to be picked every cards, right? And trying to makes it so that these limited format doesn't have as much variance as it is. Because
you're bringing up a really good point. Sorry, I'm interrupting.
No, go ahead.
Because like you're bringing up a really good point. You like two very good points actually. That first Super Seal were the first rounds of the tournament, and I think it's kind of like a bit copy pasted from Magic Pro Tour, which is 3 rounds of a draft to start with. But the thing, that's the difference with sealed, you don't have as much agency as you do have in draft in Magic. So like you said, you're left at the mercy of your sealed pool a lot more, and it's the first rounds of the tournament, which play on your tiebreakers a lot. So maybe that's the main problem of that formula, is like you need a high agency format for your first rounds if you want like real skill to be showcased, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's pretty much what I have to say about it, because I enjoyed the idea of it. It's just that,
and from a
how
viewer
it
perspective,
played out, obviously, I saw all the weaknesses of it, like in full mode.
and from a viewer perspective, like a lot of people got interested by watching the Worlds. You saw the emotion shifts towards Super Sealed. A lot of people were like, "Oh wow, I wish I could have tried that." Super Sealed seems so fun because they were really interesting matches, really showcasing the player's ability to like think on the spot and interact with these like fairly unknown cards to most players. So it made for a really good showcase format.
Nice.
But yeah, like being stuck with the kind of pool that Pat got, or even you to a degree, compared to like those Omega broken pools that some of the other people got, it's a draft would have probably been a lot better, because then if you're looking for like certain pair of dual links early on, and then you're leaving other stuff behind.
And that's probably what I have to say about it too, is like at least the limited portion was fun to watch to an extent. As in, like, I'll be honest, at the Pro Tour, I rarely listen to the draft portion of Pro Tour. Like, I wait for Constructed to start in round 4 to start watching the Pro Tour in general. Because it's, like, I have to say, it's much lower power too. Like, your Super Seals had a bunch of good cards and whatnot. It was much higher power than just a Magic draft, you know?
Yeah. And Magic drafts are usually like mapped out from day one of the set release, basically. Like you know the archetypes, you know the signposts, you know So if you've done a little bit of draft, you arrive at the like Worlds portion, and you already know what
you're looking for, what you're trying to cut, what you're trying to signal.
And even as a watcher, you know what the guy. You don't know which archetype they're going to play, but you know what archetypes they're going to play. So it's
Yeah, I was gonna say also, like, obviously there's a good amount of random, but the problem is some card can win games by themselves almost because the amount of removal. I feel like if it was a Super Seal from set 1 to 4, it would have been more interesting because at least you have some more answers to some cards. But in this version, the removals are so rare that like a big evasive body just quests for the entirety of the game. And if it's Rapunzel, it also prevents you from questing, so it's double value. And the player did put Rapunzel on 5 and Shark on 6. I'm like, okay, how I'm gonna win that game? There's no removal for those cards. So there was too many non-games. At least the games that were not non-games were really interesting. A lot of choices with how you trade board, when you quest and whatnot. But a lot of games were also just non-games. So I think that's a problem. And it's funny what you mentioned, Sailor, because I did say something very similar last week in my podcast. I feel like thinking back about this, what they really wanted to make sure is that the world champion could build a deck, because there are some players that don't necessarily build decks. They just have a team or some deck builders that make deck, and they just play them very well, but they don't
Yeah.
build them. And they wanted to make sure that the winner has deck building skill, not just playing deck skills, if that makes sense. And to me, I think there's ways to do that without having too much randomness. And what I was suggesting was very similar to you. I was suggesting there should be like a bunch of pools, but not too many, and they are the same for everyone, and you pick. So basically, if you have one gigantic pool of multiple smaller pool, it makes it's the same at the end of the day, where maybe there's some cards that are obviously very good, and maybe some decks will look similar, but then if one goes from the same deck, then the countered cards becomes interesting,
Yeah.
and there's a meta in choosing your cards because you know
exactly.
what people will be. So it's kind of similar to the constructed part, right? Like the blue, red, amber steel, and green, purple was the more obvious choice. So you could either play that or play something that beats it. So if there's a single pool that everyone goes through, if you just build the exact best deck you think with this pool, and if one agrees on the best deck, then maybe the best deck becomes the second one that just counters it. So there's like some mind games around it. And I'm not sure if we had like a very huge pool that we would have a lot of 60 exact card for every, or 50 exact cards for every player. I think there's going to be nuance in there as long as the pool has good cards in all 6 colors, so you have more choice than always the same 3 like we had in 4. Like it was pretty much 4 colors that are good in the Super Seal. So yeah, I think if a very defined pool, and if it's only one, it's kind of easy for them to prepare if they can just print those cards in stack and make like 28 identical stack of I don't know how many cards, and everyone knows it, and build a deck. As long as you don't know the pool like 1 week in advance, so you can team build. You need to know it on the spot and build with 1 hour. So now only the player can deck build his deck, and not like an entire crew behind him building the deck for him.
Yeah.
And practicing and figuring out the meta and breaking it down.
No. It definitely would need to be on the spot. Yeah.
So that would be my fix for testing the deck building skill of a player without adding randomness.
That would be cool.
And then they could be generous and put enchanted version of the cards in the pool.
Sailor just said that you guys were spoiled and you asked for more.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I think
I'm
both
not
the guys
asking
pulled
anything
enchantments
more.
for
I'm
the
not
Super
asking
Seal.
I
anything
mean,
more. Just for the record.
My 2 legendaries for fun, because some people had Shark and Rapunzel. Mine was the Donald Duck uninkable that gives the opponent needs to quest 25 to win, unplayable. And my second legendary was the blue Stitch that rams the opponent, so both very unplayable.
Great.
And
great.
uninkable.
But you can play from
I
the
only
graveyard.
played one that I opened, and it was the genie. It was not bad, but
Yeah, this one at least does something, right?
Yeah,
You saw it in our practice. It can do
yeah, it
stuff.
was pretty good.
And then the Worlds Games, the world went, and they talked about season 2 to varied degree of enthusiasm, one would say.
We would
Right.
like your takes about it.
But like more importantly, we now have a little bit more information. There was the podcast with Coop last week, where they did give us like more information on the CCQs that are going to be coming. So what are your thoughts on season 2 overall? Like we understand it's like Coop arrived in March, and he probably took things where they were with PPG no longer being there, having to find places to do it. It's probably was a bit of a mess to try to fix season 2 in the first place. But like, what do you think about the whole thing right now?
I mean, it's very disappointing. The specifically for North America, that gets half of what they had, and those 6 that we had sold out in seconds, right? It's not like the demand isn't there. That demand is actually way too high for the offering, and now we're cutting it in half. So it's very concerning in terms of like, are we going to be able to attend, right? And then obviously for the whole community, when I'm gonna speak for myself, right, as like a pro player, I need to attend those. Like there's like, if I cannot get a ticket, like it compromised my whole job, right?
Your ability to compete.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very concerning, which means that I'm gonna need to go to other continents to attend more DLCs to make up for the fact that there isn't as many. Obviously, the CCQs are a good patch, I would say, on the problem. And I actually booked my flight for CCS, hoping that they're going to be one of them. It's September, also as a practice leading up to the new season.
Yeah.
This is going to be one of the first tournament with the rotation, so in Atlanta. So I will go there. I will obviously try on Wednesday to get my tickets for both Milwaukee and Bologna, and we'll basically do that for every DLCs in North America, South America, and Europe. I'm not gonna go to the Japan
Southeast Asia.
and China because I would need to have decks in that language. I also don't speak those languages, and they don't necessarily lead up to a championship that has as many qualifying places. So it doesn't really make sense if you go there and hope to be the first one and the only one that gets a qualification, right? As opposed to the other ones where we at least get to qualify for the championship and then have one more shot.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked pretty well with DKP. Going to
Exactly. Yeah,
Australia.
I know. But that's kind of like a very fairy tale story, right? Like it's not gonna happen to a lot of players.
I mean, Southeast Asia is the one that like they're playing in English, and
Yeah,
I
so
think they have a championship
I actually
as well.
might be going to the Philippines, but we'll see. Yeah.
So no, very very interesting on this. We're going to be trying as well for Milwaukee, obviously. I don't know a lot of players who aren't going to be trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they announced that they were kind of halving the amount of DLC, like only 3, I thought they would at least double the seats available, like the tickets available, but seems like they're not. So there's no way that's not gonna be sold out in like 5 minutes. So
Yeah, and that's
it's gonna be a F5 war, refresh war, and it's not fun.
that was kind of my point. Like, I took a step back because I was thinking like you that they should do like bigger events, but if you math it out right now with the structure of the tournament of BO3 with 12 rounds and everything, it's so cutthroat with 2K people. If you had like 3 or 4K people in those events, it would be like you lose a game, you're out of top 32.
Yeah.
Because like as of now, X2 like going 10-2 gets you into top 32, and maybe not. Like there might be like 5 to 7 people not getting into top 32 at 10 wins, 2 losses. So like you're really aiming for like 10-1-1, which is a huge ask. Huge ask.
It is. It is.
So,
Yeah, maybe they could have done. I think they did this in Europe where there was like 2 sets of
2
players,
days.
2 DLC going, and then they merge into day 2 together or something like that. But
Yes. They
Yeah.
did that
it was
in Bohum.
They did it once. I thought it was a great idea, and they didn't like announce anything about it this season.
poker style where you have like multiple day ones that fire, and then you can even
I think
fire
it was
multiple
just
bullets.
a limited space, right, from the venue.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like we know fully well that they had suboptimal like venues, and like they didn't get a choice of where they would go. They kind of took the pickings that were left for them to take.
Right. So, to go on a higher note, I would say that they're going to be they also delayed the third year, right? Like with all of that delay between Seattle and Worlds, right? It was a huge delay.
Yeah.
One
So
year.
everything's gonna get delayed for like a few months. I think one of the reason that makes sense for them also is for the other country to catch up on the meta, and also it's gonna mean that they're gonna have more time to prepare for season 3, hopefully, and that we're gonna get to like a hell of a season 3, like right with what we would expect for them to be evolving into, hopefully.
Yeah, I was also gonna say I have good hope for season 3 and expectation, because for some reason, like on Friday when it was the the media day when we didn't play. At some point, Steve Warner went to us and asked if we had like feedbacks on the competitive scene and how we can structure this better. But I'm like, this should already be done for season 2. Like, why you ask for like ideas now? So I
Yeah.
guess it's asking for season 3.
Yeah.
And then I didn't talk a lot because Frank Carson like took the mic in some way, and he said what I would have said anyway, and he did a very big explanation as to why there should be more event and more ways to people to like have a path to worlds, even though some people cannot travel. Maybe there's like city champs and stuff like that where one person per big city can qualify, and he pitched a lot of ideas of having multiple ways to qualify to world instead of having like big events that are sometimes very far for everyone. And maybe if there was a client, it could be an online qualifier. So all the arguments from Frank was about having more events, and Steve was very open to the feedback, and I think he did agree. So I guess he was actually getting feedbacks for the season 3 because it was clearly too late for season 2 to do those changes. So yeah.
Very possible. And we saw like when they did the original Lorecast following Worlds, you could tell that Rochelle wanted to talk about season 3 a lot more than she wanted to talk about season 2. It was like, yeah, that's season 2. We can't tell you much about season 3, but trust us, there's going to be a lot more there.
And like I always say, it's like a huge leap of faith because like you asked us to wait for a year
Yeah.
between Seattle and like Milwaukee. That's gonna be a full year of waiting for people that didn't go to Continentals nor Worlds, and then waiting another year where tournaments are gonna be very hard to get into. That's a lot to ask for most of the community.
We also have a question for you guys from William, who's asking if you think a new keyword like Rush, Evasive, Etc. will appear in the next set or the next season, and would
We
that
already have the answer. They said it in the stream. The iconic Mickey has a new keyword on it, so we don't know what it does, but there's gonna be a new keyword.
Right.
That's why he was holding the iconic
Yeah, I know.
Mickey with his and in front of it because there was a new keyword in there. Now the next question to ask is, what do you think is gonna be the next keyword?
Yeah.
There's so many possibilities. Like obviously they can take inspiration from all other TCGs, and if you combine all of that together, there's thousands of keywords that could be there. But I think they're gonna introduce like one or two, like here and there, not too many at the same time, and increase the
One or two
number
a
of
year
keywords.
would be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's good. So you don't overwhelm new players because we still have new players. So
And they don't
Yeah.
have to be like evergreen keywords either. Like we know Magic likes to do, like they have their evergreen keywords like Rush, Haste, all of that, the equivalent of our, I said Rush. Flying, Haste,
Trample.
Trample.
Yeah.
And then you have stuff like Landfall, which is, it's in certain specific
It's
sets.
semi-evergreen.
Yeah.
It might come back once in a while. It comes back every 3, 4, 5 sets.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
So,
maybe I can pitch one. Like I'm not sure it's gonna happen because as you might have seen, the last few sets didn't add any location, and I think most locations are pretty bad because they're too easy to remove, especially with the Maui 6.5 Rush that might not be reprinted. But in my opinion, one keyword that would be interesting is a bodyguard for locations. I
Yeah.
think that would make a lot of locations more playable, but
because they
we'll
tried
see.
to do it with the wall, but you had to play the wall
that's
and
pretty
then
bad.
put
The
someone
location
on
to
it,
protect
and
locations.
then like it was a lot of
That's
hoops.
so bad. But yeah, a bodyguard for location and not character, I think that could be a good keyword to bring locations back. Because they introduce a new type of card that mostly nobody plays outside of the ones that does something like library and castle and the manor because of the HP. But out of all the locations, most of them are unplayable. As soon as they don't have more than 6 HP, like it's unplayable.
Or do something really important like the code.
Like Cove.
And,
yeah.
and most of them are rotating out. Like most of the played ones are just all
Mhm.
rotating out.
Yeah, I think library.
Only library is sticking, right?
Yeah.
And
The only
mines.
library, yeah.
Dwarf Mines? What is
Dwarf
Dwarf Mines?
Mines.
Yeah.
I think I have an idea for what set 10 would bring. So the thematic is Whispers in the Well.
Yeah.
And so I think we're gonna go into like the underworld or the great. We're gonna introduce graveyard mechanics. I think in this, and we already know that we're supposed to have the Black Cauldron.
Yeah.
I have one poster there that is coming up this year, right? And I think it would be a pretty good set to bring the characters from this movie. And the villain in that movie actually is like a undead overlord, right? Like he brings undead, right, to
Zombies.
to life, right? Yeah, exactly. And so my idea is that we would see a new type of glimmers instead of Storyborn or Dreamborn or Floodborn. They would be like, I don't know, like zombie born, whatever it's called, right? And you could, maybe they would have flashback that you can play them from discard, something like that. So that's
Zombie Lilo with a
that's my
keyword.
idea.
That would be pretty cool. Like a little bit more discard interaction.
It's very in line with, like, we were talking about
Yeah.
set number 10 before starting the camera and starting to talk with you guys, and we were like, I'm all for the like darker theme of set number 10. Like it's Black Cauldron, Gargoyles, Darkwing
Yes.
Duck, stuff stuff like that is all darker, and I'm all for it because it brings out a whole other avenue design wise and like art wise and everything.
And they are opening a villain sector or zone land in one of the parks, so that would be a good timing to release a more villain focus. Maybe they're gonna reprint the yellow 80s that quest with like the amount of villain or something. And there's some very bad card like the set 1. I know it's set 1, so it's only infinity most likely, but you know, when you draw 2, discard 2, like also the Molans, the Symbol are pretty good. Every card that draws this card would be much better if we have
Still
graveyard
would have a
mechanic.
lot more.
Yeah, outside of the zombie Lilo that we
And
already
then
have.
Namari's price gonna spike.
Could be.
We'll see. That'd be cool.
That would be pretty fun indeed. Now we already know in set 10 that there's going to be like potentially a new type of glimmer too, because they did tease something about that. So
That was like the big first lore cast when they started to do lore cast.
well, yeah,
Again.
it was a season 2 lore cast
Yeah.
that they announced that. So definitely curious to see about that. We're gonna try to catch you guys in Milwaukee, that's for sure. We're gonna try to
Get our tickets for
get our
the-
tickets and also try to see if there's organized events or not organized, supported events or CCQs happening a little bit closer to home. Will is asking, do you think Lorcana is the type of TCG that would include physical effects like AoE, but for that card and the one on his left, as you would play to check your card's position on your playmat? I
Like
don't know for,
Yu-Gi-Oh?
I don't know for the guys, but
Hearthstone.
I'd be surprised given that we don't have, like, it would introduce all of that. Oh, where you place it matters a little bit, like Keyrune and
Like
Keyforge.
yeah, it would have to do like Yu-Gi-Oh, but then you would have to have zones which have not been introduced
Yeah.
ever in the game, and that would be a huge change. Which, and this is why I think it won't happen.
I'd be surprised.
Yeah. I remember playing Hearthstone in the first year with the first set, and you have like the flame totem that boosts the attack of the adjacent characters, and the positioning is super important because you can trade, and then the buff goes on the other one and do like a bunch of good trades in a row. But I think this is a cool mechanic, but I wouldn't like it to come into Lorcana because it makes all the games slower. Because then when you play a card, you also need to think, do I play it at the left, in the middle, at the right of this one? So it's gonna make the deck slower, even if you might not have any cards that use positioning. It could slow the game. So I think it's a cool mechanic, but I don't think it's
Yeah, because
needed.
even
and
if
it
you
makes
don't
the
have
game
him in your deck, you're gonna have to act as
Yeah,
if
if
you
you
do.
did.
Well, yeah.
Because if you play like like if they print a flame totem that gives +2 attack to challenging character next to it, then the positioning of your card could tell if you're having the card or not, and then you should always play like you have it, even if you don't play it. So it's gonna make the game go slower.
It would be too much of an intrinsic change to the basic gameplay, which you cannot do when you're like in your third year of development. Like
Especially with locations, like how was that gonna work? It's gonna move around
Yeah.
the board. Locations positioning.
definitely.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
they
no,
can afford to.
I'd be much less surprised that at one point we see some kind of token idea come into Lorcana. So
Yeah.
like you
Yeah, I
were
would like
talking
to
about
see.
graveyard interaction for set 10. I was envisioning more, and maybe they're gonna play into one another, where it's like, oh, you remove that card from your discard and it comes back as a copy of it or something. But
Right.
I'm envisioning something that will allow aggressive boards, a little bit like Lady did this turn, to have more than just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play one character with one card, one character with one card, and that makes aggro like always 1-for-1 or less when it's trading with stuff, when it's interacting. Whereas if you have multiple character generation on a card, you can eventually have something that actually goes wide.
And also, like, conjointly to that, if discard strategies, I mean graveyard strategies, come into play, you would have to bring hate type pieces, either like exile from Magic or reshuffling stuff into the deck,
You
or
already
stuff
have a little bit of an inhibitus, but yeah, you need a lot more of that, of like, yeah, shuffle or send the X card back from the discard to the bottom of the deck, or
yeah.
what have
Yeah,
you.
tokens is a good point. As soon as they did announce the Mirabelle legendary that need 5 or more
Yeah.
characters to be played, I was like, okay, they need to put tokens now, so otherwise it's unplayable. And it's
Yeah.
easy for them to print tokens. Like there's always one card at the end of the booster that does nothing, so just put the token there, and everyone's gonna have billions of tokens to play.
Yep.
So yeah, I think it's something that could save that card, because right now it's not really good, and they made a set gem card with it. So it is
And,
what
you know,
it
it
is.
could be sketches. It could be like there's a way to make it fit into the whole like, oh, heartsy, painty kind of thing that inks envision. Rask is asking about Chromicon, so I'm already dreading reading the question. Do you think they will add more card effects that made some kind of choice during your opponent's turn, asking for a friend, like Chromicon? So, Rask, for those who might not know, locally famous for playing Emerald Chromicon whenever he can. So,
I think he has like an Emerald Chromicon he sleeps with at night and stuff like that.
He did it well. He won some tournament with
no,
it.
he
but-
did. Like he performed
Yeah.
really well. Last season, I think it's a little bit harder this season. Like aggro is more aggressive. There's a lot more steel involved. I don't think the deck has as much time.
It's easier to ignore the Chromicon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the question is about more cards like this. Like
Yeah.
right now, all the discard basically makes your opponent things during your turn, and I don't think there's any limitation on that, as long as they're gonna be maybe defining in the rules like what's slow play if somebody just doesn't do anything. But since it's not like chess timer, it doesn't really matter if you think more during the opponent's turn, but it can be slow play still. So as long as slow play is handled properly, I don't think it's a problem to have thinking during the other player's turn. So they could add more actually.
Yeah, I think they could, definitely. I think it adds also. I would like people to stop untapping their ink.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, please.
At the end of their turn.
Amen.
So, like any new mechanics that make them not being able to do, I would like to be introduced. Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say like they probably never, not never, but probably not soon had any type of card like we have in Magic with the instant that you actually
No.
play in the opponent's turn. But they could do things like Hearthstone and I think Yu-Gi-Oh with traps where you play a card and then during the opponent's turn it can triggers and maybe it costs some ink to use it. So then having some ink ready is actually important in
Yep.
upgrading after
Yeah, or
each turn.
something like
Yeah.
an item that says whenever one of your characters banished during an opponent's turn, you may pay 1 ink
Yes.
to draw a card or something like that. Where
It's important to keep ink up without
Yeah.
having instance.
Technically, this case already exists, but it's so rare that people
Yeah,
untap their
it's
ink. But
Mufasa,
yeah, if you have
Anna.
Mufasa and any card that pays when you play them, then you can
Yeah.
pay during your opponent's turn. So,
true.
the Ani
there's
Lemon,
Mufasa
the
and
Go Go
Gregos,
to Mago.
Mufasa and Anna,
Yeah.
the famous yellow-green Mufasa decks.
Yeah.
A location that cancels the draw at the start of the turn, like Arthur, but for your opponent.
That seems
That
a
would
bit
be
OP.
impressive.
That's egregious. It would have to cost a bajillion to.
Yeah,
Not
that's
be
very,
broken.
very not fun. Not fun. Speaking of Arthur, we haven't seen him much.
It's a counter to Diablo.
Yeah.
True. I mean, if you don't
If you don't draw, they don't draw.
have cards, they But
I
also,
remember somebody at Worlds told me that they played against an Arthur, and they played the Peter Pan, the green Peter Pan, that they couldn't quest or something like. I can't remember what it was like. Like they basically,
as long as they don't
couldn't
challenge,
quest,
they can't quest.
or was it Rapunzel 5? I can't remember what it was, but anyway, it made it so that their Arthur couldn't quest every turn, and they also couldn't draw.
Oh wow.
I guess it works with Rapunzel 5, right?
I think if
Yeah.
you want to play Archer, you need to go on blue steel and have other ways to draw,
To
like
draw.
the
Yeah, Desperate Plan. And
Desperate Plan, Dock, Whole New World, and Beyond the Horizon. So yeah, you need those kind of cards. Not drawing at the beginning of the turn,
That's so
pretty
fun.
bad.
Yeah.
Any closing remarks? I think we're drawing to an end on this episode. Drew, last words from you here.
Best of luck, everyone, for Wednesday. We'll all be with our knives between our teeth, trying to get tickets, shanking each other for
And
those
for-
Milwaukee tickets or Bologna
for
for those
us-
who are more courageous.
Yeah. For us on the East Coast, it's at 12, like the lunch time, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, the good thing is that I work in the video game industry, so I'm gonna be in front of a computer, a very
Yeah.
powerful one with a very good internet connection. So I'm gonna be a F5 warrior that day. Hopefully, it's gonna work.
Yeah, I hope it works for you. One last thing I want to talk about is
course.
On Monday night. On Monday we went to Parks, right? We got to hang out with
right.
all the world's competitors. They gave us like tickets to go to Disney, Magic Kingdom, and Epcot, and we had the watching party by the lake at Epcot to watch the fireworks. It was a very nice closing moment right before the park stops, and then after 9 it closes, and only for the people that stays on site, right, on the resorts, they can stay until 11. And so because we were all obviously staying there, we all went, well, most of us went to the Guardians of the Galaxy ride. And so all the world's competitors went to Guardians of the Galaxy, and we did a really nice ride. It was pretty epic. It was my first time, and it was insanely cool. It
I
was
haven't
so
managed
much
to
fun.
do it yet, but I've heard it is like
It's
something
a-
else.
It's a very good ride, and I was pretty happy to do it because with my 2 kids, I only did like slow rides all day during that vacation. So having one thrill ride was pretty nice. And I did ride with some of the French players, so it was pretty cool to do the line with them. Also, there was Ed and DKP in so we were all kind of bundled together during the
Yeah.
lineup, and it went pretty fast because the park was actually closed. And fun fact, when I came back from vacation, I just looked at times because you have an application where you can look at wait times. And I just said, like, what's the wait time for Guardian of the Galaxy like during the day? And it was 2 hours. I'm like, oh my god! I'm so glad I did it in like 20 minutes wait instead of 2 hours.
Maybe 30 minutes, but yeah, it went really fast because we were all
Yeah,
like,
exactly,
I was next to the rat Brian, and I was we were just replaying our games together of round 7 because I played against him, and I was talking to him about his plays, and we would explain to me like this and that and this and that. It was like very nice, and yeah, it was a good ending moment, and I just want to finish to say that it was incredible. I'm very grateful to have been at the first Disney Lorcana World Championship, and it drives my everything I'll do for the next year to just be able to do it again.
Yeah, you said it very well. I would have said the same, and I wasn't really expecting to do a lot of DLC, especially because there's less, and if you want to do more, they're far away. But after going to one world, and I know we had chat with all the players, like how many of us do we think are gonna still be there? And obviously it's not gonna be the same 28 players. There are gonna be new faces in there, but it's now like another goal to do it twice, and just brings you like the drive to wanted to do it again because it was just so fun. So yeah, I'm expecting to do more DLCs this season, even though there's less. Maybe I could do more because I did only 2.
As a closing remark, Sailor, we can find you on X. You have your Metafy as well with a really good guide on red blue items. Still, I don't think you've modified it for set 8 that much, but it's still as valid as it
hasn't
were.
changed.
Not really any important card were printed in set 8. Still a very good deck. Patrick, people can see you on Monday afternoons on Les Uninkables, which is a French podcast. Also, no Metafy as of yet.
Yeah,
Stay
I'm really
tuned, I
thinking
guess.
about it. Maybe soon.
After
I think
after
what they
doing the
should.
Worlds, you'd be like, we'd be surprised if
Yeah.
every competitor didn't make one.
Mm.
To a degree. But no, definitely going to be following you guys on there. Drew, thanks for being here. Guys, thanks for being here remotely. Thanks to you who have been with us today watching. Aras, I'm going to talk to you privately about that Wednesday sign up for DLC, but it's basically Wednesday at noon Eastern.
I'll send you the info.
Okay, Drew will send you the info. And until then, thanks for the one who are watching this later in rewatch. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and until next week, keep questing.